Amane. Amane, help me. Amane. I don't want to die, Amane. Welcome back to Bookend Gaming. It's Fruit of Grisaia. It's Otaku Tuesday.
My resolve is broken.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. I'm Eric.
I'm Travis. We're 3 episodes deep today.
And of our current recording session,
Yeah.
yes.
Of all fruits all day. And it's wearing on us because it's depressing as shit.
It is.
I can't handle this. Everybody's dying. Everyone's dead.
Well, there's going to be more.
Yeah, it's just going to get worse. And we're escaping.
Yeah, you're about to adventure on our own.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a whole new environment.
Oh my god.
Probably mostly forest.
We're going to find some elves.
Yeah.
They're going to do things to us. It's going to turn into a Sakura game.
Well, okay. That'd be the weirdest turn, but I would accept
really
it.
Would. But whatever. It could happen. Be hopeful. I'm not about to cry or anything. Okay, let's do this.
Okay, we don't know what's going on.
I keep picturing Yuji reading this and being like, why did she show me this? God,
Yeah.
tell me.
Right.
I don't need every detail. This is awful.
This is terrible.
Why did you have this whole you were sucking on each other's necks and now all of a sudden
And you enjoyed it, and it was
Yeah.
weird for me, but kind of not as
right?
well.
And she told you that we bathed together. She shouldn't have said that. That's weird. To be honest, I didn't have the first idea about what was going on.
It's just gonna like flash back to you with her and be like, all right, well, we've been reading this for like 8 hours. Are you like hungry?
Yeah, do you want to take a break or something? Or you want to go have sex? Because that's what we do. But Kazuki was never wrong. If Kazuki told me to leave, I would leave. That simple faith was guiding me now. I stuffed my possessions into a rucksack as quickly as I could in the dim tent. Barely waiting for me to finish, Kazuki impatiently grabbed my hand and pulled me along, quickly and quietly leading me out of the camp. Kazuki, where are we going?
Well, I don't know. Follow me and keep very quiet. I'll show you everything.
Oh, it's hot. Show me.
Listen to me. You absolutely must stay as quiet as possible. Is that clear?
Yeah.
She knows what's going on.
Uh-huh. Just what was she planning to show me?
Yeah, because she's not eating it. She already knows what's going on.
Yeah. Clueless but obedient, I passively followed Kazuki down the valley and into the forest. We were retracing the steps of Mr. Ochi and Captain Sakashida. Yeah, we called this.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, the realization filled me with dread. Some instinct was whispering faintly, don't go any further. Don't take another step. Some truths are best left unseen. My skin tingled as though all the pores in my body had suddenly opened wide. Oh! With every step, my heartbeat grew louder in my ears. Cold, sticky sweat settled unpleasantly in my armpits. Ew.
My pores.
My speed stick.
There we are. Look.
Whispering so softly I could barely hear over the cries of the cicadas. Yeah, us too. Jeez.
Right?
Fucking loud.
I don't hear him now, though.
Kazuki pointed through the thicket to the clearing beyond. Captain Sakashida and Mr. Ochi were inside.
No, don't show it. God,
oh my
no.
god. Illuminated by the faint moonlight that slipped through the cracks of the tree canopy, the captain's white skin shone vividly in the darkness. Her skirt and jacket were lying in a messy heap on the ground. She was right next to Mr. Ochi, standing on tiptoe to bring her face to his. Those two. I had no idea. Well, this is different than we thought.
Right? What? Are you blind?
Huh?
Look carefully at their surroundings.
I removed my glasses, carefully wiped the lenses with the cuff of my uniform, then
Dead
put them
people.
back on. This time, I noticed a number of strange whitish lumps laying in the grass amid their scattered clothes. At first glance, they almost looked like oversized radishes covered in grime and dirt. But as my eyes adjusted to the faint light, I realized that the black smudges were actually deep red, and the white objects were fragments of a truth better left unseen. Okay, so we were right. But they're banging,
Ankle!
But they're banging while... I wonder if the uncensored version would show...
I don't know.
Oh, God.
They're banging out here next to the corpses?
Yeah. I couldn't contain my shriek And before I had time to regret that mistake, tears were pouring out of my eyes, bile was rising in my throat, and I was stumbling backwards, falling to the ground.
Who's there?
Oh, don't use your teeth, God. My shoulders quivered at the vicious shout, but I simply couldn't stand. My legs had turned to rubber. My eyes were fixed on the scene before me, the face of Mr. Ochi glaring in our direction with eyes like a demon's, and Captain Sakashida's lips, stained a horrible shade of red. When I looked down, seeking escape from the awful sight, I noticed a silver bracelet in the grass nearby.
I mean, at least they're trying to hide it from everyone, that they're like, yeah, we got food. Because
Yeah.
they didn't want to eat the bodies, but at least
But they're just like straight up, if her mouth is red, they're just eating the bodies raw and getting naked and banging? Is that what's happening?
I don't know. Maybe they're not banging, and we just misinterpreted
she's on her
that.
I don't know. But why are they naked then? When I look
Are they
down,
naked?
Yeah, look at all that's a bra and panties, and her skirt.
Oh, well, I thought it was okay. I thought that was like they took them off the dead bodies.
Oh no, I think they're naked.
Okay.
I noticed the silver bracelet. It was shining in the moonlight, so even with my poor vision, it wasn't hard to make out the name written on its plate.
And they just threw it into the blood.
Yeah. Alione. That was Eikun's collar.
What's going on here? We don't know.
When the dog wasted and died, Komori-san had coiled it around her wrist, which had to mean... A burning tide of gastric juices surged up my throat as I noisily vomited onto the ground. Kazuki grabbed me by the shoulder with a flat, "We're going to run now!" She forcibly dragged me to my feet. Disoriented, the taste of acid thick in my mouth, I let Kazuki pull me into a run. From behind, I heard the captain's snarling voice. "We were seen." The voice that had always encouraged me during practice, firm but kind, good hustle out there. The voice that had offered us all reassurance as she distributed the food, don't give up. Captain Sakashida's voice was now. "Catch them! Don't let them get away! Kill them!"
Oh, jeez.
The voice of a ghoul.
Yes. Okay. So they were just eating.
Yeah, they were just
raw
eating
corpses.
people, and I feel like they were fucking. Like, were they not? Why
I don't
else
know.
would they be naked and she was on her tiptoes to match his fate? Ugh. This couldn't be. This had to be a dream. Why wasn't I waking up? This absolutely couldn't be real.
There's no pineapples here.
As these thoughts swirled through my dazed mind, Kazuki hissed into my ears as if to slap me awake.
I speak Parkle tongue. And that would be why I told you to keep quiet. What a blunder. The facade just crumbled before our eyes. The killing has begun.
The killing?
It would be best not to think of those people as human beings anymore.
This can't be. This has to be a dream, right?
Could you kindly save the delusional escapism for later? If you're going to dawdle around and make a nuisance of yourself, I'll just leave you here.
No! I clung tightly to Kazuki like a little girl terrified of being left behind by her mother. There was nothing to do but run. If I were to succumb to the pull of madness and fall into the ground, my life would end. For now, I could only clutch Kazuki's hand and run into the dark heart of the forest, where the light of the stars couldn't betray us.
Stop!
Hammer time.
In the name!
Suddenly, Kazuki raised her hand, barked a command. As I came to a halt, something moved slightly in the corner of my eye. A black shadow slowly emerged as if oozing out of the darkness ahead.
A zombie! Yo! Where are you guys headed this time of night?
Sakuma-senpai, you've got to get away from here. Captain Sakashida and Mr. Ochi are... Halfway through my sentence, I noticed something odd about Sakuma's glassy gaze.
Please finish the sentence, because we're not entirely sure what was going on.
Isn't that right? Her eyes were focused on the rucksacks we were carrying, and her swollen face betrayed not surprise but suspicion.
Amane, we're going to run. This person is beyond saving.
Huh? Sakuma furrowed her brow at Kazuki's words.
I see. You guys saw it too, huh?
Sakuma-senpai.
How do you want to play this? If you head back now, I can smooth things over with Sakashida. Amane!
So they're all in on it? What is it like? He's like, bang me and I'll give you this food?
Who knows?
I still think that they were having sex. Like, why? Like, it really seemed like, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. But that's just like a weird, like, blood orgy situation going on here.
Yeah, I don't know exactly the extent of what was just going on here.
Kazuki seized my backpack and practically forced me into a run.
Into the bushes on the left.
Well, don't tell him. Honestly, I couldn't tell my left from my right at that moment, but Kazuki's grip stayed firm, and we plunged into a short thicket, pushing our way through the grasping branches towards escape. Sakuma didn't pursue us. Instead, she spoke a few words. Her voice was like a whisper, but somehow it found its way all too clearly to my ears.
That's a shame, Suho Amane. I liked you quite a bit, you know. A real shame.
Sakuma-senpai had known? She had known what Sakashida and Ochi were doing.
What were they doing?
She had known everything and kept her silence.
Were they just eating or were they banging and eating?
Right? Kazuki. Hey, Kazuki?
What? If you have a question, please hold on to it for the moment. Right now, we need to hurry.
Sakuma-senpai knew? And Kazuki, you realized? Was I the only one who didn't know? Why didn't you tell me?
Knowing would have done you no good. Nobody could have stopped this. This conclusion was inevitable.
Inevitable?
I don't know what these words are. Amane, listen to me. The creatures in this forest are no longer human beings. They're animals, plain and simple.
But we're humans. In order for people to live as human beings, 3 basic rules need to be respected. Don't steal. Don't destroy. Don't kill.
It's like the beginning of a zombie
Yeah, I know, right?
show.
When even one collapses, when breaking it becomes natural, it's only a matter of time until the other 2 give way. And when it comes to that, no one can stop the downhill slide. Yeah, it's usually how it happens. You steal one thing from a convenience store and all of a sudden you're eating people.
Shouldn't have stole that salami.
Right? When people fall below the absolute minimum standard of humanity, they revert to a simpler, more primitive set of rules.
So also, were they killing them then? Or were they just
I don't know.
taking the ones that had already died?
Maybe, or they were like choosing the next one to kill and...
Right. That's what I think there was being gathered.
Right.
Like, this person's pretty weak anyways. Let's just
Right.
go kill him now and eat him. Don't cry. So irritating.
Kazuki quickly held her hand against my mouth, but the unbelievable, cruel reality was beyond my capacity to endure. What reality? It was far too sudden and far, far too strong a dose. I had to scream. If I didn't scream, the terror would tear me apart from the inside. You're tearing me apart, Lisa!
Keep quiet.
We'd been pushing our way through bushes and strands of trees to keep hidden from our pursuers, but there was no point if I was broadcasting our location. Kazuki pushed her hand firmly down, finally stifling my muffled shriek, and turned to face me. In the faint pre-dawn light, the whites of Kazuki's unblinking eyes stood out powerfully against her mud-stained face. It was the harsh glare of a father dragged out of bed by a bawling toddler. Staring back into those steady eyes, I drew clipped, trembling breaths through my nose. In time, my cries faded against her palm. Smile.
Good girl, Amane. You don't need to cry. Mommy's here. I made you a promise, didn't I? I'll save you no matter what the cost. You have nothing to be worried about. Understand?
Do you want a suckle of Zipple? Yeah. My throat was continuing to spasm convulsively, probably because I'd stopped crying so suddenly. But despite everything else, the feeling of Kazuki's hand squeezing mine tightly was genuinely reassuring.
Hey, where'd you go? Come on, no reason to hide. Hey.
Kaneda's voice rang out in the darkness.
You've got it all wrong, guys. If we talk this over, you'll understand. Come on out, okay?
From the volume of her voice, she was no more than 20 or 30 meters away from the thicket where we were crouched, hidden. I looked back to Kazuki's face and spoke in a whisper. That's Kaneda-senpai, right? I have to pee. Playing hide and seek always makes me have to pee.
I can never tell. Her voice changes every time she speaks. Did she join them of her own free will? Was she deceived or perhaps threatened? Whatever the case, she too is past the point of no return.
The footsteps of the ghouls approached us from behind. If they caught us, would they kill us immediately or make us one of them?
One of us.
Gobble gobble,
One
gobble
of
gobble.
us.
Even in the later cases, we wouldn't stay allies for very long. It was all too clear that these creatures would kill without a second thought. There were many feet stepping through the mud, many branches snapping in the darkness behind us. Engulfed in the madness that had spread from Ochi and Sakashida, the others had abandoned themselves to the final rule and become corpse-eaters, demons. Reason and morality no longer had any meaning to them. In the end, nobody wants to die.
But in the end, a rock. We need to run now.
Okay. We fought our way forward through the soft, slushy mulch of decayed leaves, desperately climbing the slope before us.
I mean, why wouldn't they at least cook them?
I don't know. My feet sank deeply into the muddy soil, my legs trembling from malnutrition, tangled awkwardly with every stride.
I mean, even she thought, let's eat them.
Right.
So, I mean, like after, yeah, they're starving, but just to immediately be like, yeah, it doesn't matter, let's just eat blood. And
right, let's just become like, I don't know, fucking terrible.
Yeah. There they are, this way!
Our pursuers' eyes glistened in the darkness like pools of oil. Those eyes betrayed no hatred, no anger. They weren't the eyes of people looking at their enemy. They were the eyes of beasts that knew no emotion but hunger. They were looking at their prey. If they catch us, they will rape us. They're going to kill us on the spot.
Oh, she's dead!
The terror paralyzed my brain, and even focused, the slope would have been difficult to climb. My leg caught in a muddy patch of leaves, and I tumbled down onto the ground.
Oh no. Amane, get up! You have to get up!
Just go, Kazuki. Keep running. I just can't go on. I'm so scared my body won't move. My hand shaking pathetically, I lowered my rucksack to the ground and took out a kitchen knife carefully wrapped in newspaper. I'd rather die here and now. They'd probably swarm around my corpse when they found me. That distraction would at least enable Kazuki to escape. Kazuki. I unwrapped the stainless steel knife from the newspaper with trembling hands, but at the sight of the shining blade, my mind froze with dread.
Nope, that's a weapon.
If I stab my neck with this, will I die instantly?
Kill them.
Yeah, right? I bet it's going to hurt. Oh god, I don't want it to hurt. But as my hands continued their relentless, terrified trembling, Kazuki knelt down beside me and gently wrapped them in her own.
Just the one hand. I'll play that role.
Huh?
I'm saying that I'll be the decoy.
Oh, what? Before I knew it, Kazuki had smoothly taken the knife from my hand.
Oh, no.
Why would you?
No.
I was the one who couldn't move. I was the one who'd given up. Why should Kazuki be the one to do this for my sake? It made no sense.
No, just keep running, and if they attack you, use the knife on them.
Fight them.
Listen to me, Amane. Listen very carefully.
Find my brother. Bang him. Holding the knife in an underhanded grip, Kazuki lowered her rucksack from her back and pressed it against my chest.
Inside this, you'll find food and salt that I've kept hidden. Pace your consumption very carefully.
Kazuki?
You can feel free to eat all the chocolate and candy you've been holding on to as well. Also, here.
Kazuki reached into the pocket of her skirt and took out a few sheets of paper from a memo pad.
It's the keys to a luxury sports sedan behind this tree.
Yeah. I have a helicopter parked.
This contains my notes on how to escape this mountain alive. Read it carefully and keep moving. Never give up. Never surrender.
No, Kazuki, you're not serious. Why are you saying this? Are you abandoning me?
Don't worry, I'm not going to die. We'll definitely meet again someday, okay?
Really? No.
Goodness, have I ever lied to you before?
A lot, actually. More than once, I bet.
Please explain the difference between a lie that goes undetected and the truth. 10 points for Gryffindor.
Is this really the time to be cracking jokes? Kazuki, just run away. I'm so tired. I can't do this.
That's enough. You need to be on your way. Who do you think I am, anyway? Do as I tell you, and it'll all turn out just fine in the end. On your feet. Now, run.
Kazuki!
You absolutely mustn't turn back, understand? Come now. Get on with it. Run.
Exclamation.
Woo, no!
They say that a person's true nature is revealed only when their back's against the wall. I abandoned Kazuki to save my own skin. Leaving her as a decoy, leaving her to be eaten, I moved my legs furiously, desperate to gain every centimeter of safety I could.
I mean, she's got a big kitchen knife.
Right?
I think she's fine.
There was no doubt in my mind she would die.
Unless they do too.
Maybe.
But
I mean, they could overpower her. She might stab one of them.
Yeah.
Kazuki would be the sacrifice, and one cowardly, worthless girl would survive a little longer. I was overflowing with guilt. Bitter tears of shame rolled endlessly down my face. Even if I got away, even if I had returned alive, this unbearable self-loathing would crush me under its weight. With every step I took, that conviction grew stronger. My legs were leaden underneath me. Kazuki!
She just revisits the forest like 20 years from now, and she's still there, just living in a hut.
Yeah, she's like dressed up like Rambo. She's like surviving. You absolutely mustn't turn back. She had told me clearly enough, but just once at the end I stopped. I looked back. The demons had gathered, their beams of their flashlights dancing through the trees, and at the center of their circle, Kazuki was lying on the ground, pinned down by the things that had been our friends.
Oh, she's okay with it.
The last time I saw her face, Kazuki wasn't crying. She wasn't screaming. She wasn't glaring resentfully. She was smiling. I'm gonna taste awful. She smiled as if to say this was fate, as if to say this was the rule, as if to say it was nothing worth troubling myself over.
That was my plan all along, to not eat any salt so I taste terrible.
I pooped myself, so good luck cleaning that. If Kazuki had screamed for help, if she'd cursed me, called me a traitor, I might never have moved from that spot. I might have run back and fought, but Kazuki quietly, peacefully gazed into my eyes, accepting her fate. Her words flooded into my mind.
Amane, listen to me. The creatures in this forest are no longer human beings. They're animals, plain and simple. Oh dear.
I stopped looking back.
Turned into a pillar of salt.
I turned my back on her for the last time and I ran, chanting "Forgive me" in my mind like a mantra. I'm so sorry, Kazuki. Forgive me! As the sky grew light with the dawn, I ran desperately, not knowing where my feet were carrying me. I simply fled, pushing through the forest in a frenzy, as if to escape my own terror and guilt.
No idea what day it is.
Nope.
A month?
How many days had passed since then?
Yeah.
I didn't exactly have the leisure time or composure to write a daily entry in my diary, but I think it had been 5 nights. 5 nights at Freddy's, spent relentlessly, mindlessly marching forward through the jungle. Following the instructions Kazuki had written in her note, I walked only by darkness, in order to hide my movements from the ghouls. When the sun rose, I hid myself in bushes and tried to sleep. This lasted a few hours at most, and when I woke from those brief periods of rest, the first order of business was always to peel off the leeches that covered my body.
Ugh.
Then throw the fat bloodsuckers into my mouth, crush them with my teeth, and force them down my throat. Kazuki's rucksack contained a small hoard of various snacks and sweets, her secret treasure. Just as I thought, she'd stolen the food from Ozawa's belongings on the very first day, then carefully stashed it away.
We knew it!
Yeah.
And the chocolates.
Right. Since escaping, I hadn't touched those precious snacks, not even once.
Is the salami in there?
If Kazuki had some... Yeah, probably. She probably stole the carrot, too. If Kazuki were somehow escape her captors and catch up with me, I intended to give it all back to her. There was real food just inside that bag. The temptation was overwhelmingly powerful. But if I were to yield to my hunger and greedily devour Kazuki's treasure, I'd be admitting I was fundamentally no different from the ravenous ghouls. I couldn't bring myself to do it. When the forest was dry enough to light a fire, I boiled fern sprouts and chrysanthemums for any meals. My starvation and exhaustion were now complemented by constant terror of the demons that were no doubt pursuing me. My hair had begun to fall out in bunches.
Do you think they'd still be pursuing you after 5 days, or would they just stick with their pile?
Yeah, they got a bunch of corpses to eat. I, too, had been pushed well beyond my limit, and I was about ready to break. Even so, Kazuki had saved my life. I couldn't allow that to become meaningless. I couldn't just give up. During the daylight hours, I simply laid still and hidden in the bushes, unable to sleep but preserving my energy as best I could. When the day grew dark, I would crawl cautiously out of the undergrowth, begin the astronomical observation described in Kazuki's notes. The lush canopy of trees above hid much of the sky, rendering it difficult to determine the location of the stars, but as in any forest, the orienting line of the horizon was unclear. I might as well have been able to get a better view by climbing one of the taller trees, but I no longer had the strength to do any such thing. Just how far had I walked? Walking meant pushing my way through lush weeds and wild grasses, struggling through thick bushes that obstructed my path. The distance I moved in any given day didn't amount to much. After one full night's work of hiking through the jungle, I turned back to see if I could get some idea of my progress, only to find that a ridge I had been standing on last night was still visible. I could feel my willpower shriveling inside me. Deciding I could urge myself no further that day, I collapsed on the spot, hugging Kazuki's rucksack tightly to my body. Her scent had permeated the tough fabric, and when I slept, she appeared in my dreams. You killed me. In those dreams, Kazuki said nothing.
I'm the pineapple.
Both my arms are okay now.
Whoa.
She stood some 20 paces ahead, silently looking over her shoulder, staring into my eyes. I screamed her name and tried to step forward, but it was frustratingly difficult to move. I shoved my way through the thick weeds, my feet sinking into thick mud with every step. Artax! Ignoring the branches cutting at my cheeks. But no matter how desperately I forced myself forward, Kazuki moved away at the same speed.
Oh, she's a ghost.
I couldn't catch up with her, no matter how I tried. When I gave up and sagged to a halt, Kazuki stopped as well. Again, she gazed back into my eyes.
What on earth are you doing all the way back there? She's just like a Jedi ghost now. Just
She never spoke, but her expression conveyed the words clearly enough. Kazuki. I awoke at the sound of my own sleep talking. I was no longer dreaming of food these last few days. I'd come to realize what I wanted more than anything else in the world was no longer food or drink. It was Kazumi Kazuki.
the tastiest snack of all.
And once again, I walked through the night. As I dragged my heavy legs forward, exhausted and starving, Kazuki came into view a little ways away. She strode slowly ahead through the dark forest, her back turned to me.
She's just like a force ghost.
Yeah.
Come this way.
Wait for me, Kazuki.
I'm Kazumi
She's
the white
spirit
now.
of the forest. As I pursued her, I could see many others further beyond. Vaguely defined figures walked the same path as Kazuki, flickering and melting into each other. All wore a familiar school uniform. Even in the darkness, I knew them. That one had to be Haruka. Further on, I could see Sakurai. Many others as well. I don't remember their
Yeah,
names.
whoever that one was.
Ozawa, Akabe, Aliane, frolicking around Komori's feet, the ones who had already died walking among the trees shimmering hazily in the night. They looked over their shoulders one by one and spoke. This way. I finally started hallucinating. Guess I'll just be following them now, have them guide me to heaven. No, will it really be heaven? Well, I've been in hell until now. If they're taking me somewhere else, it's probably heaven, right? Wait up, guys. I can't walk that fast. Don't leave me behind. Come on, everybody.
Oh,
I could no longer lift my legs. The world grew cloudy before my eyes. A heavy, leaden drowsiness assaulted my mind. Even where I was, what I was doing had begun to grow fuzzy.
Jesus
With
Christ.
the thought, I guess this is as far as I go, I fell hard to my knees, then pitched forward onto the cold earth.
Weird transitions and
Right?
screen flashes.
I can't do it. So pathetic. I can't even make it to heaven. I'm going to just die right here, halfway to nowhere. Another good band name.
Halfway to nowhere. Sounds like a song.
Right? As I pressed my face into the ground, my ears began to ring.
Tinnitus.
A fairly common phenomenon before passing out. It's something like the sound of your own baseline brainwaves. That's the name of my band. Faith here.
I need to write all these down.
And the leeches are going to be all over me. But as the thought ran vaguely through my wobbling head, my ears picked up a noise clearly distinct from that high-pitched tone. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. What's that sound? I focused my mind on that strange noise and decided it sounded almost like a car running on an unpaved road. Specifically, the sound of tires rolling out through gravel. And mixed with the crunching white noise, there was something like a weak whining of a 3-cylinder engine. That's why she loves cars so much.
Because one rescued her.
Yeah. It sounds like just like a mini truck. Heaven sent somebody out to greet me. God drives. Jesus, take the wheel of my mini truck.
He drives a mini truck.
Are angels these days in the habit of picking up the dead in cute little pickups? I think not. When the sound passed, the ringing in my ears was gone as well. Once more I pulled my ragged body off the ground. Once more I forced myself upright, my weary legs trembling with the effort.
Oh.
Huh? I hadn't realized during the night, but apparently at some point I'd drawn near a road. A real honest-to-God road. A path human beings traveled. Beyond the thick rows of trees, through the wet, cold dawn air of the forest, I could see the gravelly track stretched out below. This isn't a hallucination, right? Incredulous as I was, I didn't take the time to pinch my cheeks. Half sliding down the muddy slope, I made my way towards the road that lay before me.
Ooh.
Oh my god. No way! Really?
Sky.
It wasn't paved. It wasn't well maintained, but without a doubt it was a road surfaced by human hands, traveled by human vehicles. My mind whirling, I began to walk unsteadily down the road in any direction I thought the truck had been headed.
Oh, I thought it stopped.
And before long, I found myself in front of a vast field, extending as far as the eye could see. It was full of thousands and thousands of cabbages.
Nice. And then she dies. She gets poisoned out here.
I didn't scream with joy at the sight. Without a word, I drew a few slow, shuddering breaths and plunged into the field, ripping the nearest cabbage from the ground. I sunk my teeth into it and ferociously, in a frenzy, not bothering to chew, I ate.
She chokes on it and dies.
Yeah, oh my god.
That'd be the worst.
Delicious. Cabbage. My first thought wasn't, I'm saved. It wasn't, I can finally go home.
It was cabbages gross.
There was only one thing on my mind, eating the cabbages in front of me. Without a drop of seasoning or even a sprinkle of salt, those cabbages were so delicious my eyes rolled back in my head from sheer ecstasy. Now when she sees a cabbage, she gets horny.
Yeah.
I ate and ate, deliriously, frantically, as if possessed. Cackling madly, I ate. Laughing in between the spasmodic whispers that seized my throat, tears pouring down my face. Whimpers, not whispers. I ate. It was 30 minutes before the farmer's housewife noticed something single-mindedly ripping through the cabbage field like a crazed wild animal.
Damn rabbits are out there again.
Yeah.
She comes out with a shotgun.
Oh, just shoots without looking. When she ran to tell her husband about the bizarre creature devouring the crops, he ran out with his hunting rifle, only to find a human being. It was another 30 minutes before the ambulance he called arrived. And lying in my hospital bed, I finally told the local police officers who I was, that I'd been on a bus that had gone missing nearly 3 weeks before. And so, at the cost of many terrible sacrifices, one pathetic girl crawled her way back to the human world alive.
Okay.
Holy shit.
We're back in Yuji's room.
Oh my god. That's insanity.
We did it.
I only kind of skimmed it, but that's a hell of a story.
I'm sorry, I fell asleep halfway through.
Yeah. Can you just,
Okay.
read it again for me? Go back.
It was 5 days that she took. If
Of
they
just
had just
walking.
walked 5 days,
Yeah.
they would have all gotten out.
Yep.
Which, I mean, there's no way of knowing that, but still.
Why not just do it?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Just do it. If you're in that situation, don't go, let's wait 11 days before sending someone.
Right.
And then
he gives up
back.
after 2 days, and he's like, all right, screw it, I'm eating people.
Yeah. Oh my god. So stupid. They deserve to die for being dumb.
This is one hell of a story.
Oh my god, Yuji's back. I can relax.
No.
No, it's you. You're the narrator
I
again.
raised my eyes from the diary, reflexively staring up into Amane's face. Her eyes are downcast, her mouth twisted sorrowfully.
God, I missed that rack. Hey, Yuji, you know what happens when you throw a bunch of cockroaches in a jar without any food?
Cockroaches? From what I've read about them, they're incredibly durable creatures. They can last for weeks without food and sometimes cannibalize each other.
I'm the cockroach that got out of the jar alive. The most durable, most disgusting cockroach of all.
I mean, you were given a rucksack full of food and somebody was, bait for you so you would run.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't really...
Someone had to survive, right?
Right. You didn't eat people. You didn't kill people.
Right.
I mean, yeah, it sucks, but I wouldn't feel like, oh god, I'm a shit
I'm
human
the worst.
being.
Well, that people called her that because like she survived. She's some kind of cockroach because they never die.
That's true. I can't find anything to say.
I keep wanting to like instinctively do the narration.
We're back in reality.
I know.
I'm so sorry. That must have been terrible. I've gone through something similar myself. Oh, just make it all about you.
At one time, my mom bought the wrong kind of pizza rolls, and I refused to eat them.
Combination? What even is that?
A combination of what?
The comparison would be unfair. The paths we followed to that point were far too different. Even so, I understand. Thrown abruptly into a rain-soaked hell without adequate food, unable to imagine what tomorrow will bring, your physical and emotional strength are slowly whittled down. The ones wobbling on their feet have a week. The ones sitting, 5 days. The ones lying down, 3. The ones that can't speak, 2. And the ones that can't blink will be dead before the sun sets. At some point, you've lost the energy to dig graves for your companions. You sleep next to the rotting corpses of your friends. Hell on earth. Precisely because I understand, I have no words to offer her.
Pat, they're there.
So how long do I have to wait before I ask for a blowjob?
Right. I mean, kind of killed my boner.
I seek refuge in the tattered diary in my hands. Returning home as the only survivor of that horrific accident, my reception wasn't what you would call gentle.
Oh, this is her.
Oh.
This is him reading
Oh,
more.
it's back in the...
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, you gotta...
Yeah, whatever. You already read it. Just
narrate
click.
More.
The media widely discussed the incident as its miraculous survivor, spicing up their articles with a barrage of thoughtless and downright cruel speculation. While never publishing my actual name, many twisted their limited information to suggest my survival had come at the cost of my humanity. I was the social problem of the hour. When I returned to school after recovering my physical strength, my classmate thrust a weekly magazine in my face. It was open to a gory photograph of the crash scene as it had been discovered. It's just some random girl in her class.
Hey, this corpse. This is Haruka's face, isn't it? Poor girl, so tell me something. Why were you the only one who survived? Everyone else died. Why are you the only one who came back? So we're like Mr. Ochi and the rest dead when they...
Probably.
Made
They
it.
probably ended up eating each other and then starving
I
to death
guess.
by the time they were found.
Or died of, eating raw people.
Yeah, because she said it was like another week before she even had the strength to tell them what had
Well,
happened.
yeah, okay.
Of course, at that age, the gruesome and bizarre have an irresistible pull. At first, the words might have been nothing but curiosity carrying no ill intent. At first, they might not have been realized their own casual cruelty. But that first question opened the floodgates. Soon the entire class was hurling the questions at me, mostly for their own amusement.
Hey, you ate them, didn't you?
Base speculation always runs along predictable lines. Better the titillating fiction than the complicated truth. How could she live with herself? It makes me want to puke.
I wouldn't have done it in a million years. Some things are more important than staying alive. I'd rather starve to death.
Just seeing her face makes me lose my appetite. I hope she transforms soon. Soon they spoke with undisguised hatred. My denials fell on deaf ears, and I stopped even trying. In their eyes, I was a cockroach, a vicious, durable insect. Inside the confines of a killing jar, I had killed my own kind to survive, and now I had crawled back to safety all alone. It quickly became impossible for me to attend school normally. Before long, a special classroom was prepared for me to study alone. The administration's attempt at resolving the problem was half-hearted and passive. Essentially, they isolated me from my classmates, leaving my former homeroom teacher to take care of any problems that might arise.
That's why she's here.
Yeah.
In this school.
But since their main concern was minimizing further disruption, the choice made sense, and fortunately, that teacher was a kind woman who offered me warm encouragement.
It's all right. As long as you're alive, you can start again, as many times as it takes. I'm here for you. I'll be here as long as it takes, so please keep trying, okay?
Her words pulled me through some of the blackest days. She was right. My survival had come at the cost of many, many sacrifices. I had to keep going, for the sake of those who had died, and for the people who still believed in me. But eventually I was made to realize these innocent thoughts were founded on nothing more than childish naivete. Half a year after the accident, I moved up to the next grade and a new homeroom, and the teacher who had treated me so kindly abruptly stopped her little therapy sessions. Her attitude changed. The sympathy left her eyes.
I forgot who you are.
In the end, her kindness had been nothing more than the professional mask of an adult doing her job. That realization hurt me more deeply than any other lies or insults ever had.
I was just really hoping it came back to Yuji's room and he was just like, Herm.
Right? It's been so long since we've had a Herm. After yet another day of isolated misery in an empty classroom, I returned home to find the words cockroach nest scrawled in huge letters across the side of my house. My mom was crouched beside the graffiti with a bucket and a brush, tears in her eyes as she desperately tried to clean it off. Her teeth were tightly clenched as if to keep those sobs inside. They'd made her cry. They'd made my stout-hearted mom weep as miserably as a child. Hit by a wave of inexpressible, overwhelming sadness, I fell to my knees on the spot.
Do you think she would really be abused, or not abused, but, treated this way?
Probably. People are fucking awful.
I guess. Don't believe her when she says no.
Right. The only way she could have survived is by killing the other people.
Yeah.
Is other people's misery really that much fun to you? The reality had nothing to do with it. They weren't even trying to look at the truth. All they wanted was an interesting story, and my suffering seemed to be highly entertaining to them. I could endure the slander and abuse, But at this rate, I would end up becoming a blight on my own family. I simply couldn't take any more.
I mean, at this point, there'd be like a story about it, though, since they went down there and took a picture of the bus. They would see like the pile of people, blood on their
They'd
mouths.
find the pieces of other people in their stomachs and shit in the autopsies. And
right.
whatnot. Yeah. What did I survive for anyway? This? If I just died with everyone else in that valley, none of this would have happened. I wanted to turn back time. I wanted to go back into that ravine to redo it all from the very start. I could see nothing in my future, so I fantasized about the past. Even so, I resigned myself to the present. I accepted the ridicule and ostracism of those around me. I'd stepped over the bodies of my friends to save myself. Surely I needed some punishment for that. Maybe a light spanking.
I mean, just the one friend. The other ones were zombies.
Right. I mean, yeah. You have to kind of give up on those people. Of course, no one's going to object to my suffering. It was the least I deserved. I could prostrate myself weeping in front of my friends, graves all I wanted, but no one was going to forgive me that easily. Until I had suffered more than those who had died, no one would approve of my continued existence. This was my punishment for surviving. I accepted it. I knew that I couldn't expect clemency, but even so, I desperately needed someone to give me the hope that it might end, that someday I might be forgiven.
Is this still her diary, or is she saying this to Yuji?
I think it's her diary, because he said he takes solace in her diary, so he's reading like the last bit of it. Right, self-loathing was my only means of atonement, and it was a feeble counterweight against the sin I was committing with every breath I drew. I was gradually driven into a corner. How wonderful would it have been to run from it all, to shed the weight of what I'd done, but the punishment for surviving was impossible to escape. I had no choice but to bear it. I tried to be strong. I tried to act cheerfully in the face of it all, but it was so very hard. The slightest smile on my face would inspire condemnation. How could she laugh after what happened? If I ran away from their words, they'd condemn that as well. My crimes would never be forgiven.
Oh God, I'm back!
Every once
what
in
happened?
a while, I dreamed at night. Always the same nightmare. Always in the same place, the depths of that hellish jungle. In the gloomy forest, the girls from the basketball club sat at the roots of the trees, still and quiet. One by one, they slowly died. The corpses lay against the trunks of the trees, swelling up with gas-like gruesome balloons. Their faces had been bloated from the start by their severe malnutrition. Soon it was impossible to tell where their eyes had been. Eventually, their mouths creaked open, and the gas inside their bodies began to leak out into the humid air with a sound like a ghastly moan. Before long, those faint sounds would become voices. Amane. Amane, help me. Amane. I don't want to die, Amane.
It hurts so much. Amane. Ooh.
Why only you? Why, Amane?
Why won't you help me?
Hey, Amane.
Listen.
I'd lost count of how many times I'd woken up screaming in the middle of the night. Going to sleep had become terrifying. But even awake, I could hear the voices whispering in my ear. The voices of my friends calling my name. When I turned back, there was no one.
And some other strange voices, but I don't really know where they came from.
Yeah, who are these people? Was it the bus? Even so, I heard the whispers constantly.
Come back for me.
Why did you lick me and then leave me hanging? Asleep or awake, someone was always cursing me. My guilt was ever present, crushing. I had no refuge. In time, I lost the ability to distinguish between reality and my dreams. Even awake, I screamed at phantoms. Sometimes I thought about just dying. But I couldn't commit suicide. If I took my own life, I'd be branded for all eternity as a coward who fled from the punishment her actions had earned. Maybe someone would be so kind as to kill me instead? A random, violent death at another's hand might well be my only possible salvation.
Just move.
Right?
It's just yeah.
If someone killed me, I could escape without having fled from my responsibility. If someone would only punish me. Yes, that was it. Every time someone harassed or tormented me, it felt as though the weight of the sin on my shoulders grew a little lighter. If I could live my life entirely for someone else's sake, maybe someday I'd be forgiven. I'll just be someone's mommy Milky. But for that role, I needed someone who would punish me for the sin of surviving. So that when moments of happiness found me, when I laughed, I could simply offer a silent apology to the dead. I needed someone who would give me an excuse for when the voices whispered in my ear. I needed an answer to their resentful curses. See, I'm getting exactly what I deserve. I absolutely needed that. In the end, I wasted years and years of my life waiting for someone who could bring me that hollow, self-serving comfort. Enter Yuji!
That's all, folks.
And then a man ideally suited to impose my penance appeared. Kazumi Kazuki had sacrificed herself to save me, and he was her brother, her only surviving family. I'm sorry for keeping it a secret all this time, Yuji. The truth is, I'm a pathetic coward who survived by sacrificing your sister. I'm so sorry.
Still staring into my eyes, Amane sneezes miserably. I see. Herm. My body feels as stiff and wooden as the words coming out of my mouth. It takes all my effort just to nod.
Then why did you bang me so much?
I understand.
To get you addicted.
Some sins can never be forgiven. No matter how many times we apologize, the dead can never come back.
I always wanted to tell you, to apologize, but I just couldn't. After the accident, I actually went to Kazuki's house just once. Thought I'd tell the whole truth to her family. Even if they didn't believe me, even if they blamed me for everything, that'd be fine. But I'd always wanted to give them an apology at least, so I finally worked up the courage. But Kazuki's house was empty.
Oh no.
When I asked the neighbors, they told me the parents had divorced a full year before, and it had been vacant ever since. They told me the family broke apart because of Kazuki's death in that accident.
Oh man, you homewrecker.
Destroyed your family. When I thought about that, I got so scared. I couldn't manage to tell you.
True enough, Kazuki's death was the catalyst of my parents' divorce. But what came after, the real disintegration of my family, that was inevitable. My father's death and my mother's suicide were inescapable, fated events. Amane had nothing to do with any of that. And either way, making her into a scapegoat won't change the past.
So when I first met you, I decided, since I'd stolen your sister from you, I could at least become a stand-in for Kazuki. That was all I could think of. I mean, did he bang us?
Right.
I knew that I couldn't.
Apart from the sex that we had.
Right. I knew that I couldn't possibly replace Kazuki. I knew it was just a convenient way of escaping my guilt, but there was nothing else I could do for you. So I told myself, at the very least, I'd go along with anything you asked, become a kind of big sister who'd never say no. If that meant kissing and all the rest, I didn't care. Even if you asked for much more, I didn't plan to refuse. I'd absolutely never complain, no matter what you did to me. When you wanted something from me, I'd give it to you. Damn it, I would have taken advantage of it more if I knew that.
I actually hated it all.
Right? I was ready to sleep with you from the start. What did it matter? I gave up on life itself in that forest. I'm only breathing because Kazuki took my place. Since I'm not your real sister, I thought I'd compensate by doing things she couldn't do for you.
Hold on, I've got plenty of that from her.
Right.
I mean, I want to make sure I'm clear on something. In other words, you approached me out of a sense of responsibility, not any romantic feelings. I'm not going to get angry about it at this point. Give me the honest truth.
Breaking up with you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly speaking, it's not like I hated you, but I wasn't head over heels either. Can't really say I loved you.
Oh, good. It was a lie from the start.
Cool.
That'll help.
That's nice to hear after hearing about my sister being eaten alive.
Right.
I thought that being a convenient woman for you might be a kind of penance. I knew that was far too light a punishment for surviving, of course. But even so, sleeping with you always made me feel a little better. Yeah, it did.
Me too.
Every time you held me, I felt like the sin I carried with me was growing lighter.
Oh, man. So here we are.
Yeah, we're back.
What's going to happen now?
Present time. I don't know. You gonna forgive her? Is that like the good bad ending? Is do you forgive her or not?
Oh, yeah. I forgot there might even be a choice.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Who knows? What do we do?
I don't know. I'm scared.
I'm just gonna stare at that cleavage because it's been too long since we've seen it. Thank God we're back to the perviness, but not really yet.
It was just pity cleavage.
Right?
The whole time.
I don't care. I'll take pity cleavage. Pity cleavage is all I can hope for at this point.